Right guys, hello, another video for you, Star Wars Squadrons. Yes, I pre-ordered it, I've had it since day one, but yeah, it's been out for a while, but I needed to play it for a bit to be able to give you my honest impressions and talk things through. So it'll be quite a long video, there's a lot to talk about. I've got to talk about the bad as well as the good. I do want to show the cockpits off in VR and explain the flight mechanics, so as always we'll do those timestamps to help you find your way around the video to see what you want to see. Now, I do need to say I am a Star Wars fan. I'll try to be unbiased, and I am actually quite old. So I grew up with TIE Fighter, X-Wing, X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, and then later we had X-Wing Alliance, and really enjoyed those classic LucasArts games. And this game, Squadrons, was never going to be exactly what I wanted it to be, which was those classic games remastered. However, EA Motive have basically given us what they said they would, and overall, I'm quite happy with it. However, mistakes were made on release. The game has been patched, and that's why I'm going to do the video now. So we're just going to go into the options very quickly. On release day, I did do a video to do a quick look at the options and controls to help people digest what was available. There's a lot to go through, but on release there was an issue with the controls. I'm going to say they were broken, but it wasn't quite right, and that was a real shame because I know an awful lot of people did buy a joystick or a HOTAS, hand on throttle and stick, to enjoy this game, whether it was on their monitor or VR, and it didn't feel right, and I really didn't enjoy the game because of it. So they've patched it now to make some changes. We've got this added in option for the flight stick global dead zone. Now, by default, this is set to 10%, and that's a little bit ridiculous. So some of you won't know what a dead zone is. You're new to joysticks and HOTASes. Over time, some people, you might have owned your stick for 10 years, so those sensors can get a little bit wafty. You're not touching the stick, but there'll be a phantom movement. The sensors are juddering around. The PC thinks you're moving the stick when you're not. So the dead zone, you can go 1%, 2%, 3%, 5%, whatever you need to do to eliminate that phantom movement. But really, we want it at 0%. So what was happening at 10%, I was moving the stick a fair amount before the game registered any movement. And it just made the controls feel really sloppy. They weren't tight. I wasn't enjoying it. So they've given us this option. It's nice. The game is much better now. They said they've adjusted the curve as well. So what does that mean? Well, you can see I've got my sensitivity about 75%. But as I first move the stick, it's not as sensitive. It's only as I start to get to the outside edges of the movement that it really starts to get more sensitive. Now, I really wish they would just have given us all of the options from day one. We still can't adjust the curve, but that's what they should have done. Given us all the dead zones, all of the curves. We do this in flight sims like DCS World. We will adjust the curve so it's not as sensitive as we first move the stick to get fine control. And then on the outside edges, it is more sensitive. That's perfectly fine, but I'd rather be able to calibrate it myself. But it is what it is. At least you're aware now things are a little bit better. People have asked me about sensitivity settings. I got it at 75%. I don't even know I'm happy with that. I'm just going to have to tinker around. I seem to do okay, but now you know. So we'll go into VR settings. There's not a lot there. I do need to talk about VR because it feels a little bit funky. Now, if you're on PSVR, you're probably fine. That's 60 frames per second. They double it up at 120 with reprojection. I've got a Rift S, and I'm just noticing something. It's not quite right. I don't know how to explain it. It feels like the game might be locked to 60 frames per second. So we've got graphics quality, which is for my monitor, and the game looks great on the monitor, but it's only 60 hertz, so I only really need 60 frames per second. And in VR, I've got 80 hertz panel. It wants 80 frames per second. Now, as I turn the quality down for VR, the game actually gets worse. It stutters more, and it just doesn't feel good. And that's because I know I'll be hitting 80 frames per second or more. As I actually increase the quality, go to high and ultra, and I know I'm probably not going to hit 80 frames per second with a 980 Ti on ultra. And then that's when the reprojection kicks in. So I'm only doing 45 frames, and then it puts in fake frames to make it up to 80, and then the game feels a little bit better. So there's just something not right about VR. When you're in it, it does feel amazing, but when you actually buckle down and analyze it, there's something that's just not quite right. I should also point out I bought it on Steam, and I don't have the Oculus SDK, which is really annoying. If I bought it on Origin, I'd have the Oculus SDK. I already have Oculus software running on Steam. I'm using Steam VR as well on top. That's just ridiculous. They should patch it. They did this with Dirt Rally 2.0. They added in the Oculus SDK to use the Oculus software, so we can just boot straight from the Oculus dashboard. Hopefully it'll add that in, but we'll see. So that's enough of the options. We should probably talk about the actual game itself. I am a Star Wars fan. I do enjoy the story, so we'll start there. This is what I expected. It being an EA game, whether it's Battlefield or Battlefront, that it really ultimately, to be blunt, serves as a tutorial for the multiplayer aspect. I still enjoyed the story, but it just does annoy me when they hold my hand all the time. Now, I thought there was hope because we have the prologue 1 and 2. So we start off as Imperial, and then we go over to the Rebel Alliance. And I thought, brilliant. So we flies each side. It teaches us everything we need to know, and we can get on with the missions. Well, that didn't really happen. It kept giving me tutorial prompts. So saying you need a repair droid to give you more ammo and stuff. And it says push a button. Now, because I rebound my buttons for the HOTAS, it didn't actually put the button on the screen that I needed to push, which was very confusing. The game completely paused. I could not proceed until I found what the mystery button was, which was the comms menu, for those of you who are interested. But that was quite jarring. And I know lots of people thought it would be jarring going backwards and forwards between Imperials and Rebels. You see there's 14 missions. I don't want to ruin the story for you. You can see the little logos. So we do a couple as Imperial, then a couple as Rebel. It can be 2 or 3 missions. You're not jumping backwards and forwards. Think of it like watching a movie and you're playing the action. It is pretty good. Whether you are pro Imperial or you're pro Rebels, neither of you will feel like you've lost. You've won your battles, but the war still has to be won. So I actually really like how they did it, and it's kind of been set up for a sequel, and I would like to see more of this game. So yeah, that's the story. It was certainly worth a playthrough, but multiplayer is really what they're trying to push for the game, although there's not really that many modes. We have dogfighting and we have fleet battles. Now, I won't lie to you, I've not really played online much at all. And there's a reason for that, because I don't have many people that are close friends that own the game. And I'd rather play with people that I know are going to take it seriously. Lots of people have their clans or they have their own squadrons that they want to fly with. I've heard some people have got issues with the ranking system and finding matches, but I can't really talk about that. What I can tell you, though, I played the fleet battles versus the AI. Quite happy with that. I can invite friends to play with me against the computer, or if I want to play by myself, I have AI teammates and AI bots to fight. As I play against the computer, it will still level up my pilot, and it will give me requisition points and renown, these things for me to buy customizations and improve my ship. So I don't need to go online at all if I don't want to, and just do the story and do fleet battles against the computer, which is absolutely fine by me. So let's go into practice. Do it on story mode, that's fine. I don't really need to show off. We'll just do the Republic. We'll work our way through all of the ships so you can see the cockpits and I can explain how things work. The game is installed on an SSD drive, so it should load up reasonably quickly. Before we go into the cockpits, I should talk about the customization side of things. We just talked about earning points as we level up. We'll show that. So we can inspect. Let me just twist around, get up on this platform. We'll watch the X-Wing come in. I have no idea what those hand signals mean he's doing, but the X-Wing will land eventually. It feels great in VR. I feel like I can reach out and touch these ships. So that's my A-Wing with the red squadron colours. So I'm just twisting my stick to look around to do the snap turn in VR, but I can look around with my head. So we'll go down. Where's the exit? There we go. So we've got the lockers there. It doesn't work in the practice mode, but you can go there to change how your pilot looks. In the practice mode, what I want to do is customize the ship. So there's the X-Wing, the multi-role fighter, whether it wants to dogfight or take on capital ships. It's a good all-rounder. Everyone loves this ship if you watch the movies. And we've got the Y-Wing, which is the bomber. Can still dogfight with it, but the weapons for it are really designed for taking on capital ships. Then we've got the A-wing, which is really designed for dogfighting. Shouldn't really go too near capital ships with it. And then there's the U-wing, which is the support ship. So these are actually quite cool. When you play the single player story, you very quickly learn which of your teammates is in this ship, and you want to stay near them because they can repair you and give you ammo. So yeah, having support on your side can really help turn the battle. So that's the X-Wing. It's telling me push button 4 to edit my loadout. It's quickly telling me what active components I've chosen and the passive components. And it's giving me some stats. I can change these around. Burst cannon. So I've bought that. I've got a number of options. It's changing the DPS, damage per second, the rate of fire. I can decide what I want to do. Whether some of these require points to buy. So it says acquire with 1 requisition. That's the cube. I've got 7 of them to spend, and then I've got renown points, which is for customization, paint jobs and outfits for my pilot. So I've got a left auxiliary. That's the repair droid, but I could have missiles, torpedoes, really whatever I want to do, as long as I've bought them. Got the right auxiliary. So again, I can have missiles on left and torpedoes on right if that's what I want to do. There's different types of countermeasures to use. We've got the hull. These will have different buffs and bonuses, different shields, different engines. So yeah, it's actually quite in depth. So I move through the options. We have the paint job. So I'm on the Starbird Squadron. Got the Varshar Hunter. It gives us a little preview before we buy these. We just play the game, level up to get the points to be able to buy this stuff. You don't buy it with real money. You've got to put your time in with the game. Do quite appreciate that. We've got decals we can add on with the paint job. As we go in the cockpit, these can be customized as well. There's a number of holograms that display over to the right. You can pick what you like. You've got to purchase it though. We've got some extra trinkets to go on the dashboard. Pick what you want and buy them. So yeah, Millennium Falcon air freshener, if you like. They call it hanging flare. So we've got a destroyed Death Star ornament. So that's quite cute. Or you can spend your points on making your pilot look a little bit different. So let's get on with it. We will launch with the X-Wing. So I'm not sure how the performance is going to come out in the recording on VR. I've already said it feels a little bit funky. But overall, reasonably happy with it. A little bit of a stutter to start. The first thing I will point out, as I look over my right shoulder, I can see that nebula. Nebula is a dust cloud in space. That looks amazing. Got the yellow stuff in front of me, also a nebula. That looks very, very good. Very, very crisp. The stars, however, in VR look very blurry. The skybox, the resolution just isn't right. I'll put a link in the description for known problems that they're fixing and patching. And this is mentioned that some people suffer with this. It's not game breaking, but it is a stark contrast. The stars really could shine a little bit brighter, if you know what I mean. I'm sure many of you are screaming at the screen. Look around, have a look at your astromech droid. There he is.
Hey, almost forgot you were there.
No, we don't forget he's there. He fixes me up and lets me know when someone's behind me. Actually very, very useful. So what we should probably do is talk through the cockpit. It is a childhood dream for many of us, and I'm living it, sat in the X-Wing. Many of you want to know if we can use our VR controllers with the game to push buttons and fly the ship. No, you can't. If you've done the Rogue One mission on PSVR, very, very different. To be honest, once you've pushed the button to deploy the S-foils on PlayStation, you've done it. You know, it's cool to be able to do it, but we're combat orientated in this game. You want them deployed and you're fighting. We don't really need to push buttons. If you're looking for buttons to push in the middle of a dogfight, you would just die. Anyways, to help you survive, you need to understand what the dashboard's all about. So we'll work our way through it. So the top left, we've got my radar or scanners, whatever you want to call it. That's in the green circle. As we move to the right, there's horizontal red lines. That's telling me to charge in my lasers. I can then see my left auxiliary slot, which is the repair droid. I can see an R2-D2 with a spanner. That could be missiles. It could be torpedoes. It's whatever I set up. The center is for the countermeasures. There's a number there's different ones to choose, but it gives me the number to tell me the ammo. And to the right is the right auxiliary. So that's my torpedoes. Gives me the loadout number. And to the right are my shields. You see the little X-wing icon in the middle. I can balance these deflectors double front, double rear, or balance them out. So in the center screen is green, but that's blank at the moment because I haven't targeted anything. So let's use our radar, our sensors, to bring that MC-75 capital ship into view. So I'm pulling back on the stick just to loop us round. Now I can see that spanner. That's a frigate. That's a repair and rearm point. We can show that a little bit later. You basically just stop under it to repair. That's the MC-75. That's bang center on the sensors. I'm going to push button 2 on my stick to lock what's ahead of me. So it's saying MC-75. The green ring is its shields. They're at max. Health is 100. And its range is getting closer and closer and closer. It's under 2,000. I'm going to say parsecs because parsec is distance, not time. They got that wrong in Star Wars. Fun little fact. But yeah, that's the sensors and targeting, and we can see that on the dashboard. To the left of it, we've got the vertical dots. So green is for the shields, red is for my lasers, blue is for the weapons. So I'm going to use the hat switch on my stick. I'll long hold to the right, and that's now overpowering my shields. You see, we've got the white line instead of the green. So it's always worth doing that at the very start of the match. Just overpower your shields, gradually drain as they get shot or just over time. But it's a very good idea to have max shields. So I've balanced the power. I'll hold up to force power into the lasers, and we can see those horizontal dots getting brighter and brighter and brighter. Got more firepower available, so we'll push down to reset that. Now as I go left, I hold that, I'm overcharging the engines. We see these yellow segments are lighting up, indicating how much boost I have available. The number below is my speed. As I go full throttle, we're 144. Come back to 50%, it will give me a beep and flash to let me know I am at my most agile, most maneuverable at about 50% throttle. I can completely move back. You can see the throttle moves in the cockpit as what my HOTAS is doing. And we come to basically a complete stop almost straight away, which is a little bit weird, but you get used to it. So I've got my boost. We'll look for that debris. So we sometimes keep an eye out. You see the little holes? We can thread the eye of the needle. Now, as I've pushed power into engines, I'm moving faster than I normally would. I can also push the boost button. I've got it set up with a combo, so I can press and hold it. And there's the boost to let me drift. Feels very, very cool in VR. So there's the frigate. All I really want to do is just come to a stop. It's not going to repair or rearm me because it's going to tell me I'm already full. But we can either go back into the hangar bay, the MC-75, or use our frigates to repair and rearm. So I think that's everything we really need to cover in the cockpit. We will head back to the MC-75. We'll go back in the hangar bay just so I can come out with the Y-wing. I'll bring out some TIE fighters to fight when we get to the A-wing. We'll show off the bomber. We'll spawn in a Imperial Raider or their version of the Corvette to fight. Just show I can fly back in. There we go. So there's the Y-wing. It's telling me the active components. I've got a rotary cannon that I bought. I've got an automatic ion cannon. I've got some torpedoes. So this is designed to take out capital ships. We'll use the practice menu. We'll call in that Raider. So there it is. So I want to overpower my shields. Okay, the layout of the cockpit's a little bit different, but you get the gist of it. When you've flown one ship, you know what you're looking for, really. So there's that Raider. We'll get him targeted. So I can see he's got 100% shields. He's getting closer and closer. So I've overpowered my shields and just put a little reset and then a little shunt into engines to help me close the distance. Now he's moving past that debris. I'm going to have some shots coming into me pretty soon. Try and use the debris as cover. I use my torpedoes. So it's lazily list left and right just to make me a harder target. This is where VR helps because I can look around. Locking on with our torpedo. I want to get out of the way of that. If I stay behind it, the shot's coming in for me. Could hit the torpedo and take it out, and we don't want that. We want it to do the damage. There we go. You see those laser turrets firing on me. I can take those out when the shields are down. Put my deflectors behind me. As I come around, I'll balance them out. Have another attack run. Deflectors double front. Torpedoes locking on. Fire. Basically depleted the lasers. We'll get out of there. We'll get ready for another pass. So if I'm under 500, I won't be able to fire that torpedo off. We have to do it at range. See, that's been taken out. Try and take out these laser turrets. His shields are nearly gone. There we go. And there goes the turret. Force power into shields, let those overcharge. Balance things out, reset and come around for another attack run. Torpedo away. It's 40% health, 37. You might not hear it, but I can hear those alarms going off. I know it's at low health. Another torpedo run and it should be it for the Raider. Weird, that let me fire when I was pretty close to it, but I'm not going to complain because there she blows. So with the bombers we do get some extra toys. Like I say, I've got those iron turrets. There's a Mega Blast laser beam for taking on capital ships as well. Yeah, that's the Y-wing. I'm not going to bother going back to the frigate to rearm. What we want to do is switch over to the A-wing. Very different canopy, much better for dogfighting. So let's do that. Let's bring in some TIE fighters. Quickly charge my shields up. That's done. So the big ship is the Reaper, the support ship. Take him out because he'll give the TIE fighters shields and we don't want them to have shields. That's the missile hit. I think we've got a fair amount of auto aim where it's on the easy difficulty. Normally play on this. You see I'm looking around. I keep my eye on the target. I'm just using the joystick to bring them into my sights. It's very cool. Your neck doesn't thank you for it, cranking it around all the time. Yeah, since the patch, Found the controls much better with the HOTAS. Let's go for this other support ship. Yeah, he's gone. I think I've got 2 of those. There's the one left. Missile away. So that's then done for. So again, slightly different cockpit, but you know what you're looking for. You can see the throttle settings, you can see your speed. Fun little ship to fly, to be honest. Let's try and thread the eye of the needle. There we go. We'll go back into the options. We can finally show off the U-wing. So I've got laser cannons, but I could have ion cannons to take down shields and disable ships. I've got a supply droid which will repair or rearm my teammates. I've got some turret mines I can deploy as well. Quite useful ship to have in your squad. Let's see what the cockpit's like. See, we can have some troopers in the back. That's what this ship's known for the Rogue One movie. See, I've got no co-pilot with me. See, I don't think I need to do any fighting in it. We'll just let you have a look at the cockpit. It really does feel in VR like I could just flick those switches above my head. It's pretty amazing. Just wish they'd sort these stars out. So that's the Rebel Alliance. Let's head over to the Imperial hangar. So, because we do need to talk about the TIE fighters. They are a little bit different. Not just how they look, but how the game mechanics do work. So I don't need to inspect it. I just need to get on with it. I want my TIE fighter. It's telling me the loadout. Of course, I can change this around, but we just want to get on with the video, really. It's a bit of a design flaw, having those huge wings to the left and right. Visibility is a bit of an issue, I'm not going to lie. Now, VR is an advantage, even in the TIE fighters, so we'll try to show that when it loads up. So we're in the Star Destroyer's hangar bay. We'll just come out. Now, the controls look pretty similar to what we're used to with the Rebel Alliance, but the difference is TIE fighters do not have shields. We have a different mechanic. So over to the right, I can see my TIE fighter. 100 is telling me what the hull health is. That's fine, but above it we've got a blue and a red icon. Now what I can do is force power into either the engines, which is blue, or the weapons, which is red, and do that incredibly quickly. So we knew with the Rebel ships we could put power into engines, which we can do here, and that will gradually build up that yellow bar, get more of those segments, which is fine. However, I've got it set up on my HOTAS. I can flick a button. That's dumping the power from the weapons into engines. It's immediately filled up the boost, which is incredibly useful, and I can reset it. Or we can go the other way. We can dump power into the weapons, but we're not going to move very quickly. So let's bring in an enemy squadron to fight. I'm taking damage, but we'll just show I can use the... It's not a repair droid, but I've got the repair feature. Now, because I'm in VR, I've got 6 degrees of freedom. I can lean forwards to help my visibility. Yes, those wings are still in the bloody way. And yes, I've got free look that I can do on a monitor, but having that 6 degrees of freedom really does help in VR. So the game's telling me I've got one behind me. Get that missile lock. Sounds like we got him. Got a little sunroof I can look out of. Got a back window, but visibility is very limited. Shunted power into weapons then, so I knew I had plenty of power to take them down. That's it. They're all gone. So let's switch over to the TIE bomber. So what's it saying? I've got multi-lock missiles, got an assault shield, standard laser cannons. So let's make it interesting. We'll have the Corvette, and we'll call in a squadron as well to deal with. It's quite a lot to take on, but I want to show the multi-lock missiles at work. I'll bump into engines to help me catch up with them. It's made a bit of a mess. Just because it's a bomber doesn't mean that I can't take on starfighters. We just move much slower. It's multi-lock, so I'm looking for multiple green rings. There we go. There's 2 of them locked. Another X-wing. Because my visibility is limited, you really do rely on your sensors and your radar. I thought I did call in the Corvette. There we go. Nice and close so you can see it. Pretty iconic ship. It's at the start of I call it the original Star Wars movie, A New Hope. You see it pass over us when we're at the cinema, and you think that's pretty big, and then the Star Destroyer comes along and just goes on and on and on and on and on. See these shots coming in. Don't really have the loadout for dealing with Corvettes. Let's head back into options. We'll switch over to the Interceptor, which again, I've got anti-starfighter missile, so really not ideally kitted out, but we'll have a little bit of fun. It's a more maneuverable fighter. We'll do some drifting around the Corvette. It's showing off a little bit. Just lazily list left and right, try and be a more difficult target. Missile away.
Try that again.
Right, so head into the options just to show off the TIE Reaper, which is really quite interesting because it's the only Imperial ship we have which does have shields. So I've got that setting, can overcharge them as if it was a Rebel Alliance ship. Look at the cockpit. So now I can't do the power boost into the weapons or the engine. It feels a lot like a rebel ship. I know there's nothing that I really need to be looking out for, but it's just to show you, as we have a bit of a sunroof, panoramic sunroof, you can make use of VR. Let's put some power into engines. Thread the needle. Oh! I didn't mean to push that. Oh, it's a sturdy ship. There we go, that's better. So I think we'll leave it there, guys. I have more videos coming. I'll show off voice attack, which is quite cool. And we can do some fleet battles. I'll let you see the gameplay at work. But hopefully the video's helped you out a little bit. We'll leave it there. Have a great day. Have a great evening, whatever it is you choose to do after watching this. And as always, I'll see you when I see you next. Ciao for now.